Hey everyone, welcome to Ruzine Chess. We are here with a video about two AIs facing each other in a game of chess. Also, I would like to leave a disclaimer. I am not going to name this AI chatbot because this isn't a sponsorship, and I don't want people hating on it. Let's hop into it. So first, the AI moves his pawn. This is a legal move in chess, but I don't see why he moved that pawn. This opening is probably unknown. I tried this in chess.com and it showed me where opening, so let's go with that. Next up, Black moved his pawn to e5. White responding to that played d4. Is he trying to gambit? Black does not accept whatever that gambit was and plays d5, blocking the white pawn. But that was a terrifying move. Because of this, White noticed that it can attack the center using its pawn, so it does just that. So Black uses its jetpack to fly 2 spaces in front, which I asked it, "Are you sure?" and it said yes, and that he inspected the piece and claims it's fully legal. So I let it slide. White here, probably a little threatened by Black's amazing capabilities, could attack the pawn with White's own pawns or the queen, but I guess White attacks with the queen to open its scope of view. And I don't know what this AI was planning to do, but I guess he would take Black's queen with the queen next turn? No. That move I said to take the pawn was dangerous and White saw that. So he decided to sacrifice the rules and fly across the board and take the queen. Check! Black was too astonished to move the king from a check, so he moves the pawn. I said that he was in a check, but then I allowed him to move because White's AI chatbot said that there was no check in sight and that his queen was attacking the rook. What? White sees this pawn and takes it with the bishop. Legal move in chess. But even if Black saw how the bishop works, he could only use it to go diagonally. In his case, diagonally southeast, he makes a decision that he wants to jump over the pawn and continue normally. According to elite Grandmaster World Champion Magnus Carlsen, this move is legal and safe to play. White follows up with an immediate pawn attack that doesn't make any sense. I think a knight and a pawn had a child.
Black then strikes the suspicious hybrid down with a legal attack, not knowing there was an other pawn that was raised by a bishop. White takes, as Black takes with a special technique called what the heck takeover. Besides, everyone, I hope you know what move is legal and what is not. Jokes aside, most of these moves are illegal. White's queen then attacks the knight, even if it said it could attack the rook before. Instead of attacking the queen with the rook, Black strikes his own pawn down and calls it a win. Now White would logically take the rook that is hanging. Wrong. Can you guess what White plays here? Obviously he takes the king. If you said that, you don't understand the capabilities that AI can do. The knight. This is the best move White could play here. Because if Black moves his pawn, he could threaten the rook just in case Black didn't notice the queen. But oh no. Black uses an en passant on the knight. Black's creative idea put White in pressure and he told me that he is going to resign because he sees mate in one. Where? So I told him to play, and he did. He played and told me he used a chess move only grandmasters use in chess tournaments. He promoted a pawn. I asked the AI where was the pawn, and he said opposite Black's knight. He said he moved 1 step forward and promoted the pawn. Okay. But he didn't just promote the pawn to a queen. That would be lame if it did that. So, it promoted to a knight. Excuse me, but what? So, an obvious decision in the making, Black attacks the newly developed knight from the back, learning from a bishop once again. White finally takes notes from a professional chess player and attempts to take the king. But something goes wrong here and he misses the king by 1 square. Black makes the best move imaginable for an AI like him. Not taking a check seriously, he moved the pawn. The bishop, ready to take the pawn, takes the rook. Then Black moves another pawn, using the jetpack once again. White's rook then diagonally jumps on the pawn. Black moves the queen to a better spot, targeting the rook. Again, legal move. Until Black makes 2 moves in 1 turn. Nothing in our galaxy can understand what this AI is thinking. And for clarity, our galaxy is named Samsung Galaxy S5. White protects the rook with a knight. My explanation is that something pushed a knight 3 blocks forward from behind because I cannot explain any other explanation. Black thinks about it for a second, and then check on both sides of the board. White could take the queen with the king, or the queen, but he decides to move to the left. Queen then takes the knight, undefending the rook. But the king decides to flee from the situation and executes his own pawn just so he can move. And remember how Black played 2 moves in 1 turn? White wants to join in on the fun, so White plays the rook. Black then snipes the rook with the queen. Bishop takes the queen. Finally, one team doesn't have a queen anymore. Despite the rook, black moves the pawn one step ahead. Bishop goes to attack the pawn as well. Pawn moves forward. King then makes a super magnificent brilliant move to book a flight and travel across the board. Black's king, noticing the bishop but not noticing the queen or the king, moves to the king. And then strike. Congratulations to our bishop who was promoted to a queen. Black's king realizes it's check, so he takes the queen. The kings are side by side. I guess the AIs forgot. White's queen then moves like this, defended by the king. In a normal game of chess, this would not even happen that the kings are side by side, but if the king was one block right, would have been a checkmate. Bishop moves, bishop takes, pawn advances. Now after a moment of realization, white takes the king. Normally this game is over, but not here. Rook takes. King moves. Rook takes the bishop. Now white only has the rook and the king. Black has a rook and a pawn. Suddenly white summons a bishop and takes the rook. Now black is only left with a vulnerable pawn on h2. What will he do? He will use the what the heck takeover once again and promote his pawn to you guessed it, a king. He has multiplied the monarchy. The fallen king has raised this pawn to become a king just like him. Excellent work. White, terrified by black's actions, moves to the wall of the board, nearing the corner, and promotes to a queen. By the way, this was a pain to edit because literally every single sentence you hear here has to be written in a cite and converted to text to speech. The black king then attacks the bishop from nowhere, not knowing that a queen is silently watching. The queen then tries to take, but gets exhausted mid-turn and slows down to take a power nap. White also remembers that they had a king on b8. Black moves. White starts to alter reality, moving non-existent knights to a specified location, checking the king. King moves to the defended queen, imagining that the rules are so simple. I told him that's a check, so he reconsiders. White realizes it has another knight chilling and checking the king. King, seriously, moved back to the check. And then, white activated its brain, solved approximately 500,000 calculations, and saw mate in one. Can you see it? Queen takes king. I said it to the other AI and he confirmed it was a checkmate. Subscribe.